Greetings, programs! Welcome back to the TV thing, where today I'm going to be talking about the recent Netflix series The Mist, which is an adaptation of a Stephen King novella. It's not even the first adaptation. There was actually a film in 2007, which I've never seen, but I was at least aware of. And so when The Mist popped up on Netflix, I thought, I kind of know what that is. Clearly it's a new adaptation. Let's give it a go. Sadly, it's not very good. And without getting into too much detail in terms of the plot and what exactly happens, basically it's not very good in a couple of key areas. One, the plot ends up not really going anywhere specifically. I mean, we get kind of a resolution in terms of what's happening within the actual show. Basically, you've got two-ish separate groups of characters, one of which is trying to get to the others, and they eventually manage it. But it all happens in a way that really ends up resolving nothing. And it kind of feels like they're maybe trying to set it up for a second season, and that's why they haven't resolved anything. But there's not enough there for a second season. Like, I think they played it out quite enough just over the course of the 10 episodes, which takes me to another way in which it's not very good, in that 10 episodes felt completely unnecessary. It really felt like it dragged on longer than it needed to. I think you probably could have cut out at least 2 episodes worth of stuff, if not more. The writing just felt flabby and unfocused, and there was just so many things that happened that it was like, what was the point of this? Have these writers never heard of Chekhov's gun? You're showing us all these, things that are happening, and they don't lead to anything. They don't bring us to, some resolution further down the line. They're not feeding into the main plot. It's just pointless stuff. And it just felt like bad, flabby writing and flabby direction, in that, a good director would have picked up that it was going on too long, that it was just pointlessly dragging out the time. So it felt padded. It absolutely felt padded. And I think, to its credit, there were certain bits I enjoyed, certain bits of the character development. There were certain moments I thought that were quite effective. But there was just too much on the negative side of that equation, unfortunately, for it to ever truly be enjoyable. There was enough momentum going that I kept through till the end. I watched all 10 episodes, but then it came to the ending, which, as I said, was just nothing, really. Having looked up, which has completely spoiled me for if I ever go and watch it myself, but the film version, that has a proper actual ending. And this doesn't. And you couple those two things together, and those are some pretty big negatives. And then we get to the characters themselves, and I don't think I cared about a single damn one of them. The actors weren't bad. I actually thought the cast was okay. And as I said, I thought some of the moments of interaction and the character development were okay. I mean, the whole concept of The Mist is there's this bad, spooky, supernatural, awful thing happening. It's forced everybody to, congregate together. And we follow 2 particular groups of characters, and then we see where they've ended up and the people that are around them. And at least part of the horror aspect is supposed to come not from the horrible stuff that happens if you go out into the mist, but from how people are coping, or rather not coping, with all of the awful stuff that's happening. And there were moments that were all right, but at no point did I care about any of these people, even if I could think, okay, yeah, that was quite a clever bit of revelation that we just had about character X, where we just learned this thing about them, or we just realized this thing about them. Certain bits were okay in that regard, but I never cared about any of them. I didn't care if they lived or died. It was just I wanted to see where the plot was going, how it would resolve, and there wasn't a resolution, really, ultimately, even though there kind of was. It still left so much hanging, and there were still so many little points that they left hanging, so many things that they put in there that just turned out to lead to nothing. So, yeah, it wasn't good. It was disappointing, and I would be quite surprised if it came back for another series. And even if it did, I don't know how much I'd care to go and watch it. I guess just to find out if there was some resolution, but they'd have had to have seriously upped their game from this first season of 10 episodes, because it was severely lacking. So, yeah, I can't recommend this one particularly. Even if you're a fan of Stephen King, even if you're a fan of horror stuff, like the horror stuff wasn't particularly horrifying, and the Lord of the Flies stuff was okay, I suppose, but yeah, no, it was padded, it was flabby, I didn't care about any of the characters, and ultimately it had no kind of satisfying resolution. It barely had any kind of resolution at all. So that's The Mist. I'm aware in terms of the TV ones, I've skipped over doing The Next Generation, which I promised I would, but I'm in the middle still of watching DS9. In fact, I'm on to season 6 of DS9 now, which is arguably where the really good stuff starts. What I might well do is actually lump those in together and try and talk about them together. Or I might just skip doing DS9 entirely as well, because I did try and talk about Star Trek The Next Generation. I did try and sit down and record stuff, and I just didn't really know where to start. So we'll see if I can talk about it in conjunction with something else. But anyway, this, on the other hand, was quite easy to sit down and do, because it was quite easy to pinpoint all the things that were wrong with it, which was unfortunately quite a lot of it. So there you are. There's my recommendation, or lack thereof, for The Mist. Hopefully you found this review useful, helpful. If you did, you can hit the like button. You can leave any comments below. You can sub to my channel, or my main gaming channel, if you haven't already. And as always, stay tuned for more.